Shalom, my dudes and dudettes. Welcome back to the Aboutcast. I'm your host, Julian, always with the host, Jordan, and today we're going to bring you some fire, maybe some memories as well. Jordan, how you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. You know, a little nostalgic, thinking about all the good times that I've had, and the good times that shall become, especially on this podcast.
Yeah, and once again, we're both still in lockdown, stay in place. Quarantine, coronavirus is still going on, and we figured, we might lighten things up because we're sure you've seen a ton of podcasts. At least my podcast feed has been full of COVID-19 related stories and research and things of that nature. So we figured we'd break it up.
Absolutely. And so today we kind of want to give you guys, like Julian said, a break and a reprieve and kind of let you minds escape to simpler times when you weren't having to worry about anybody dying and getting sick. And the most important thing was just hanging out and having a good time.
And so we're going to bring you a draft. Jordan and I are going to draft our top 3 to 4 childhood memories or things you do as a child, so to speak, and kind of give you some insight there. And maybe this will make you reminisce a little bit on those childhood days when you had no cares in the world and you could be outside.
So without further ado, we're going to have the childhood memory draft. So Julian, as you were the one that kind of spurred on this idea and thought, I want you to take the first pick.
So my first pick of the draft is going to be video games with friends, pre-Xbox Live and live industry. So those times when you just go over to a friend's house, they would have a PlayStation 2 or just a regular Xbox, and you'd play Halo or Jak and Daxter or NBA 2K for, I don't know, what felt like 12 or 14 hours at a time.
Dude, those were the days, man. That's actually a really strong pick. What was your go-to game? Obviously being a big basketball guy growing up.
And so I think the one that's going to stand out the strongest here, and I mean, it did have an online component, but the way we played it was inside of your residence at the place. And I think the funniest times I've had playing video games has revolved, oddly enough, around Minecraft and Mario Party.
Oh, dude, come on. All right, so for every that's a low blow. And so for everyone who doesn't know, I've had some tragic happenings to me in Mario Party that honestly, I think it's just it's actually, quite a matter of fact, it's pretty sick what they do on that game to people.
I think the greatest thing about those times was we're in that pivotal age of you and your friends could drive, me and your brother and our friends couldn't really drive or just got to it, but for some reason we just didn't feel like going anywhere because maybe those summers were absurdly hot, and we just all for weeks on end meet up at Jordan's residence at the time and play these games. And sometimes things would get a little heated. Sometimes you'd expect to win and you definitely weren't winning. And just sometimes to BS and just be kids and talk about high school or middle school or whatever it was, I think is always something, even though I can play video games today, it just doesn't feel the same because I have other things on my mind outside of video games to occupy my time.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think that's what we're going to be saying about this list a lot is kind of the preciousness of, being a kid and being young and having that mindset before you were truly an adult where, things, this is such a overused and trite line, but things were just different back then.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree with you. It's something that you look back and always value because it was just simpler times.
All right, Jordan, what is your numero uno?
My number one pick is having a summer full of basketball tournaments and just hanging out with the boys.
You dog.
Yeah. Hey, bro, if you're going to leave it on the table, if you're leaving that on the table, um, you know, I think that the most exciting part is that you get to spend time with, some of your closest friends, do something that you love to do, see new places. And it's just like and be challenged with good playing. Like, you play against good teams. So it's just a win-win-win. I mean, you're with your friends, you playing something that you would love, and you are competing. So it checks all the boxes for me. I'm sure that was one of your close tops. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was my number 2 pick, and I think something about, even if it's not a sports activity, but like group oriented traveling trips. So whether that was, for us, it's obviously going to be sports pretty heavily, but for people who might have been in band or involved in some club, I'm sure it's great. But yeah, sports traveling 4 to 12 hours or flying somewhere, being stuck in a hotel and seeing all the absurdities that happen. When you look back at all the weird absurdities that happened during an AAU basketball trip or a basketball camp where you're just kicking it in a college dorm room as a high school student in between games, and like you think the buffet is so awesome at the time because it's essentially free in your package price, dude.
Dude, yeah, just running amok around just going crazy and just having a good time. I mean, yeah. I look fondly back on some of those trips and some of those memories, especially, those college camps with high school. Dude, yeah, man, definitely number 1.
And I think we're lucky enough in that time where like smartphones were a thing, but they weren't as prevalent. So we were still having those times like people were just hanging out as opposed to just like sending memes.
Yeah, and just, it truly, when you when you went away to this place, you really were away. I mean, granted, there was texting and stuff, but it was truly, you were more just inundated with, or not inundated, but immersed. There it is. Immersed into this environment with your friends. And, and especially those, long trips with just even talking and, just shooting the shit. It was just excellent, man. Really, really cherish those times.
And so those are our first picks. Jordan, we'll do some weird kind of snake thing here. So I'll let you do your second pick.
Okay. For my second pick, this is kind of tough because I had a couple. That I wanted to feel out, and now I'm looking to box you in because obviously you're out for blood. For my second pick for high school activities, oh, shoot, man. I'm actually drawing a blank right now, too. I'm going to choose longboarding.
Ooh, that's solid. That is solid.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's just something freeing about it. Oh, no, dude, wait. Can I redact that?
I'll allow it.
Okay, thank God. You know what I'm going to choose? I'm sorry I'm going to have to do this to you, Jolene. But there was a summer when we literally religiously played ping pong almost every single day for hours. For hours.
Oh, staked another one.
Dude, I'm sorry. But I was thinking about it, forgot it, and then I was like, the second I let longboarding out of my mouth, I was like, how could I forget? Just the absolute battles, dude. On the table.
I love the story of how you got the ping pong table.
Oh, dude, yeah, okay. So I'll say it for everybody because it was kind of it was a good one. So I was just kind of lurking on Craigslist, and I found a free ping pong table. And at the time, I had like a little Honda Accord, so there's no way I was fitting a ping pong table at all in anything. So I asked my dad if I could borrow his Jeep that had like a rack up top. And also, I guess at the time, it would be fair to note that I didn't really know how to drive stick that well, but I was off anyway. So I took this like super long trip outside of the city to like get this free ping pong table. Not super long, but probably like 30 minutes at least. And then like, it's the most janky piece you've ever ran across. So there's like, you had to get the nets and stuff because the net was just like shot. And it was still janky. And then we got paddles and balls. And then literally it just became like the thing. And I remember, Julian, like, I don't think you ever played against him, but it became such a thing in the household that my dad got into it. I was playing my dad at
I did play against him a couple times.
yeah. Dude, it was so legendary, bro. I loved it. I mean, granted, I can remember one match that, and to this day, dude, I think of you as just like somebody who's a little bit unsportsmanlike, because I remember I think it was game point. I think it was game point, and I was serving, and you're on the other side of the table banging on the table with your paddle, trying to get the mental edge on me. And then, and I remember, you know, we always used to have some really, really good battles on that table.
And I think from my point of view, one, it was like we'd come in there and we would just be sweating. It would be hot outside. We'd make it so hot inside that we would be. We'd make it just a sweaty atmosphere. And the thing that, from my point of view, though, is that I would leave after 14 hours of ping pong, and I would come back, and Jordan and his brother would have been working on their own techniques that were completely new to me when I showed up. So it's like a restart every day to capture these new moves, to where we were going down the long YouTube rabbit holes of like 35 minutes to an hour long of just looking at different techniques to, one up one another at some point in time.
Yeah, I still remember. I am actually still subscribed to some of those ping pong channels. I should do a cleanse of my YouTube, probably.
That's good. Yeah, ping pong. That once again, I have to cross that one off my list. Okay, and so I guess for my second pick, after the first one being of video games, I think my second pick is going to be I don't know how to categorize it. Maybe as pranks or as tomfoolery. As a kid, are just so much better. You have so much less to worry about. You don't have to worry about being in a professional environment or holding to a professional standard at that time, because you're just going through middle school or high school or whatever it is. You're using leftover fireworks for something, or you're putting something in someone's shoe, or it's just like, it's like little apps that say like random inappropriate things when you like touch the button. Yeah. Stuff like that as a child is just like, it's hilarious. You can do it to a variety of people, and you're always going to get some sort of reaction out of it.
Yeah, that actually is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. It's just kind of like the one-upsmanship and the a little bit of the immaturity of just kind of doing silly pranks and knowing that it's just going to be like continuous. Like either you're getting pranked or somebody's getting pranked or you're scheming up a prank. It's a never ending cycle of just kind of innocent and just playfulness. And I really, really appreciate that, and strong pick.
And I remember at one point we'd gotten a certain device. It might have been an iTouch or something at the time. And it was right when the iTouch had came out, and you go through the App Store. And I just remember it was I think it was you that downloaded the classic "That's What She Said" / Michael Scott button. And I swear we had probably like 4 or 5 days of just using that violently.
Yeah, I was gonna say it absolutely abused it. Absolutely abused it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was quite some time. Cool. So we are 2 picks in. I think for my third pick then, I'm going to have to go with all-nighters, because that's something as an adult, I don't even call myself an adult, a young adult, that I'm not too fond of or not going to go out of my way to do. But as a kid, like if you're that kid at school who comes into, 4th grade, beginning of class, is like, hey, so-and-so, I stayed up 24 hours. Like you were that dude for a while. And the things you would accomplish, whether it was playing video games or just running around doing wild stuff in an all-nighter, was fabulous. It was something of like myths and legends as a kid. And I feel like everyone tried or completed one at one point in their time.
Dude, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I remember in school, the all-nighter was kind of like the nonsensical brag, because not only was it cool to do an all-nighter with like, your friends and doing cool stuff, I remember it was a respect-worthy thing to just be up all night for no reason. For no reason at all.
And you weren't even communicating with anyone.
No, yeah.
Funny thing. It's just like people took your word for it. Like, oh wow, you know what you're doing on a school night, huh?
Yeah, there's the weird things that, we brag about. But I remember like all-nighters or staying up late with friends and sleepovers being, always fun. Especially, getting away from your place and just having like just a good time roaming around. Regardless of what you're doing, if you're with your friends and doing, anything, I feel like it was a good time as a kid.
Yeah, and in most of those all-nighters, especially in groups, whether it's a birthday party or just a random night, like, in some cases, there might have been some mischief where you leave the house, which was always, an exciting or adrenaline rushing time. In some cases, that's how you found out who your slow friends were,
Bro, you needed them. Those are the keys. And if you were one of them, then you better watch your back. you better plan ahead.
All right, Jordan, what is your third pick?
So my third pick is going to be, and I don't know, it kind of bridges the line to kind of your pick, but I think that playing Fugitive at night would be one of the funnest things, I think, that I have done. Well, I guess not the funnest, but one of the most like probably noteworthy things as a kid that we used to do.
And if you could explain Fugitive to the listeners who may have called it something else, how would you describe it?
So basically, Fugitive is a tag, but like city wide, like miles long tag. So like people are in cars and on the street and running around, and you always wanted to be safe and follow the law. And if you didn't, you wouldn't talk about it until your statute of limitations were up. But yeah, it was just a blast, man. And doing it with your friends, and it would just be, you're with your group and you're just going to this spot, and you got to think about like, planning. You have to like, hide if you think that's a car, that's it, and would like get out and chase you. It was just, it was just super exciting, super freeing, and like really, really, I don't know, engaging on like, a group level, I think.
Yeah, I think it was fun too. Is like you had, athleticism, you had like strategic groups, you had just pure brute going for it,
conditioning,
looking for whatever right, whatever landmark you were going for, and then at the end, everyone convenes and tells their different stories and shares the different things that went wrong or funny things that happened. Was a great way to be involved with a very large group of people that you're typically you'd see, but maybe not hang out with them on an everyday basis. Made Fugitive a great time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a game that would be fun regardless as a kid, as in tag. And then you just kind of crank it up a notch as you get older, and it like, gains back some of its novelty for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a solid list that we came up with, even though we only drafted 3. I think, as a child, there's so many things you could do. And, those are just the first 3 things that came to my mind while kind of thinking on this topic, and to, kind of loosen up for a while. But there's even odder stuff that I think about, like, injuries as a kid is something you just take for granted. Like, you're not even thinking about it. You're just jumping large gaps or, getting bruises and all that. But as an adult, like, you kind of are cognizant, like, if I go to the City League game, I really hope I don't hurt my ankle or like hurt my back or something.
Yes. Yeah. Like, even though we're still young, Julian, I think it's so weird to be thinking about that. And granted, like, we were really hard on our bodies, and we, got a lot out of them at like a young age, being involved in like sports, like, quite heavily, both of us. But Like, I never thought about getting hurt. I never thought about stretching. I never thought about warming up when I was a kid. It was just like on at all times. And I definitely,
Yeah.
I think, classic saying, the youth is wasted on the young, man. Like, if I could have Benjamin Buttoned, then I think I would have been, it would have been a different story, man. But granted, I'm too young to be saying that. I could still regain some of whatever I've lost. I can regain it.
Fair. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. To lighten things up a bit, send us your favorite childhood memories or things you did as a child. All that info's down on the show notes below. And, maybe this is something we do again. If you guys like to see us draft random things, it's definitely something, Jordan and I had fun doing and talking about. Jordan, any final words on your end?
Yeah, I just wanted to, broken record, guys, but once again, like, thank you for allowing us to do, to enjoy this experience. We would enjoy it no matter what, but having you guys along for the ride and sharing with you guys is just kind of makes it more so than otherwise. So appreciate you coming along for the journey. Thank you. As we want to always continue to give you guys value, and we'll see you next time.
Catch you guys later.